Most people die before they're even dead. They wake up, go to work, obey orders, eat junk, scroll, and call that life. That's not living, that's existing. You were born with power, with fire inside you, and every time you settle for comfort, you kill that fire a little more. The world doesn't reward mediocrity, it rewards dominance. You can't be remembered if you live small. The bigger your dream, the louder your fight must be. So wake up, take control, and stop living like your time is unlimited. It's not. Comfort is the biggest killer of potential. Everyone wants success, but nobody wants to suffer for it. People think the winners are lucky that they got a better start, but that's not true. The truth is they were just willing to go through more pain than everyone else. I've been broke. I've been cold, tired, and hopeless. I've been in rooms where people laughed at my dreams. I've had days where I didn't know what would happen next, but I still refused to quit. That's what separates the strong from the weak. When you're comfortable, you stop growing, you stop fighting. You stop chasing, and once that hunger dies, your greatness dies with it. There was a time in my life when I had nothing, no fame, no luxury, no comfort. I slept in small apartments, worked long hours, and trained until my body screamed for rest. I remember thinking, if this is what it takes, then I'll do it 1,000 times. Because comfort never made anyone powerful. Comfort teaches you nothing. Pain, on the other hand, teaches you everything. It shows you who you really are. When you're broke, when you're exhausted, when you're doubted by everyone, you learn discipline, focus, and resilience. You learn to trust yourself when no one else does. People think they can stay comfortable and still win. That's impossible. Comfort gives you excuses, not results. Every time you say, I'll do it tomorrow, you're choosing weakness. The successful man wakes up and does it now. Tired, sick, angry, it doesn't matter. He moves because he knows comfort is poison. You can't become powerful by doing what feels easy. You become powerful by doing what feels impossible. I built everything I have from struggle. There were days I didn't know if I'd make it. But every sacrifice, every late night, every moment of pain turned me into the man I am today. The world doesn't hand out trophies for participation. It rewards dominance, discipline, and consistency. So stop hiding behind comfort. Stop settling for small wins. Because comfort may feel good now, but it's the reason most people never see greatness. Pain is temporary. Comfort is forever. Choose your pain wisely. Men today have forgotten what they were built for. You weren't born to sit on the sidelines watching other people win. You were built to fight, to lead, to dominate your environment. But the world has turned warriors into watchers. You sit there scrolling through people's highlight reels, admiring what they've achieved, while your own potential rots inside you. I know that feeling because I've been there. I remember the times I looked around and saw others living the life I wanted, driving the cars, making the money, living with purpose, while I was still fighting for scraps. It burned inside me, but that fire wasn't jealousy. It was hunger. Hunger to rise, to stop watching, to start building my own legacy. When I was broke, there was no one to clap for me. No one was there to say, keep going, you're doing great. There were only bills, problems, and silence. That silence was my test. I realized that no one was coming to save me. If I wanted to change my life, I had to become the kind of man who makes things happen. That's when everything shifted. I started treating every day like a battlefield. I stopped watching and started fighting. I trained, I worked, I pushed, I failed, and then I pushed again. And over time, those small victories built a man who doesn't need validation from anyone. You have to understand, nobody respects the man who just watches. The world only respects results. You can read every book, listen to every speech, but if you never act, you're just a spectator of greatness. The real power begins when you decide to step into the arena, take hits, and still keep swinging. That's how you earn your place. That's how you build confidence that no one can take away. Every man has a warrior inside him, but most have forgotten how to wake him up. You have to train your mind like a weapon, sharpen your discipline, and refuse to live as a spectator. Stop consuming and start creating. Stop clapping for others and start building your own empire. The world belongs to those who fight for it, not those who watch it happen. Fear is the invisible chain that keeps most people trapped in small lives. It's not that they don't have dreams, that they can fool they all afraid to let dreams. They can act or have dreams of 4-year law. It's that they're too afraid to chase them. Fear whispers in your ear, telling you that you're not ready, that you might fail, that people will laugh at you. And most people listen. That's why they stay stuck, living the same routine year after year, convincing themselves they're being realistic. But I'll tell you something, nothing about greatness is realistic. I wasn't born fearless. I had doubts too. I've lost money, I've made mistakes, I've taken risks that could have destroyed everything. But I refuse to let fear dictate my decision, because fear doesn't disappear. You just get stronger than it. There were times I made moves that terrified me, times when everything I owned was on the line. I've been broke, unsure, standing in places where one wrong decision could have ended everything. I remember sitting alone thinking, what if I fail? But then another voice inside me said, what if you don't? That voice, that small spark of courage, changed everything. Every time I ignored fear and took the step anyway, my life got bigger. Fear feeds on hesitation, but once you move, it starves. People wait for the fear to go away before they start, but it never will. The only way to kill fear is to act while it's screaming in your head. The world belongs to the man who moves forward despite it. I learned that the most dangerous thing you can do is play it safe, because playing it safe guarantees you'll stay average. When I look back, the scariest moments in my life were the turning points. The risks that could have destroyed me ended up building me. You can't be strong if you've never faced fear. You can't be confident if you've never walked through doubt. Every great victory begins with fear, but ends with courage. So when fear shows up, don't run from it. Use it, let it fuel you, let it remind you that something important is on the line. Because if your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough. If you want to achieve something extraordinary, you can't treat it like a hobby. You have to become obsessed. People talk about balance, about taking it easy, about not overdoing it. That's why they never win. Success doesn't come to people who are half interested. It comes to the ones who wake up thinking about their mission, go to sleep planning their next move, and never switch off. Obsession is the fuel that drives greatness. Without it, you'll always stay behind someone who's willing to sacrifice more than you. When I was climbing out of nothing, I didn't have the luxury of balance. I had tunnel vision. I trained when others rested. I worked when others partied. I studied when others slept. People told me I was crazy, that I should slow down, that I was taking life too seriously. But while they were relaxing, I was building the foundation of the life they would later envy. I remember nights when I'd be so tired I could barely think straight, but I'd still push through because I knew the price of rest was failure. There was no shortcut, no easy path. Every bit of progress I made was bought with obsession, with an all-in commitment that most people will never understand. The truth is, if you're not obsessed with winning, you'll lose to someone who is. The world doesn't care about your excuses. It only rewards results. Obsession is what keeps you moving when motivation dies. It's what makes you stay up that extra hour, make that extra call, take that extra shot. People see the outcome and call it luck. They never see the years of obsession that built it. They never see the sacrifices, the repetition, the countless days where quitting seemed easier. Yeah, you can't build an empire on part-time effort. Every great man who's ever achieved something remarkable has been called obsessed, extreme, or crazy at some point. Some bottomers. That's the price of being ahead of your time. So if people say you're too focused, too driven, too committed, good. That means you're doing it right. Because obsession isn't a flaw, it's the foundation of greatness. Your mind is either your strongest weapon or your biggest enemy. Most people never control it. They let it control them. They wake up, tired, complain, scroll through nonsense and wonder why their life never changes. Their thoughts are chaotic, weak, full of doubt, and that's exactly why their results are the same. I learned early that if I didn't master my mind, I'd lose everything. The mind can destroy you faster than failure ever could. Every action, every success, every victory starts with the way you think. If your mind is undisciplined, your life will follow. There were times in my life when everything seemed to be falling apart. I wasn't where I wanted to be. I didn't have what I wanted, and the pressure was suffocating. I remember waking up some days feeling completely drained, questioning if it was all worth it. But then I realized something. The world wasn't against me. My own thoughts were. I was feeding myself negativity and wondering why I felt weak. So I made a decision. I stopped letting my emotions dictate my actions. I trained my mind the same way I trained my body, through repetition and discipline. Every time a weak thought appeared, I replaced it with one that served me. I can't became I will. I'm tired became I'm built for this. And slowly my reality began to change. Your thoughts are commands. Your mind listens to everything you say, and it builds your world around those words. If you tell yourself you're broken, you'll live broken. If you tell yourself you're unstoppable, the world will bend to that truth. I didn't have success handed to me. I created it in my head first, long before it became real. I visualized it, I believed it, and I refused to let my mind entertain anything else. The moment you master your mind, nothing can break you. Not people, not failure, not pain. You'll be able to walk through fire with a calm heart because you know you control how you react. Discipline isn't about forcing your body, it's about commanding your thoughts. Once you do that, the world can throw anything at you and you'll still win. Control your mind and you control your destiny. One day, all of this ends. The cars, the noise, the grind, everything. You'll take your last breath, and in that final moment, you'll either feel peace or regret. Most people never think about that day. They drift through life, chasing small pleasures, wasting time like it's unlimited, but it's not. Every second is a chance to build something that will outlive you, or to throw it away on distractions. I've seen people with all the potential in the world die with nothing to show for it, simply because they never acted like time mattered. That's the real tragedy. Not dying, but dying without ever truly living. There was a time when I was broke, unknown, and no one believed in me. I could have stayed that way. I could have accepted the small, quiet life everyone told me was good enough. But something inside me couldn't accept that. I remember sitting alone thinking, if I'm going to die one day anyway, then I might as well die trying to become someone impossible to forget. That thought became my engine. Every sacrifice, every risk, every late night, it all came from that hunger to leave something behind. I didn't want to be another name that disappeared the moment I was gone. I wanted my work, my words, and my discipline to echo long after me. Legacy isn't about money or fame. It's about impact. It's about how many lives you touched, how many people you inspired, how many times you refused to quit when everyone else did. You don't build legacy by doing what's easy. You build it by doing what most people can't. Every moment you waste is a piece of your story you'll never get back. Every excuse, every delay, every I'll do it later kills a part of your legacy. When I look back now, I don't remember the pain or the effort. I remember the pride of knowing I refused to live small. I built something from nothing, not because I was special, but because I refused to settle. You get one life, one shot. Make sure when it's over, people remember that you were here. Don't live small, build something eternal. So when your time finally comes, don't leave behind memories of a man who played it safe. Leave behind the legacy of someone who lived with purpose, fought with fire, and refused to live a small life.